Good evening, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another Sunday show. We celebrate the end of the week, the end of the coronation. It's not actually the end of the coronation weekend because we've still got the bank holiday tomorrow. But hey, welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about some 10th edition stuff tonight because there's been other rules and stuff and things that have come out over the last week that we haven't covered. So we did talk about the Chaos Space Marine rules on Thursday with Joe and the Liam and Joe show. We did get Necron rules on Friday that we're going to go through in just a minute, and then we're going to ask the question. We're going to ask the question: is 10th edition looking more or less narrative? Simple as that. But we're going to do that after we've looked at the Necron rules. Before we do that, if you're new here, please make sure you hit all those magical YouTube buttons. Hit that like button if you enjoy the content. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live or post a new video. And tell me how you're all doing on this fine Sunday evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. I'm always amazed to see like 80 people sat waiting in chat before we go live. It's mad. On a Thursday, sometimes Joe and I have over 100 people sat waiting for us to go live, and we're like, you fuckers should be working. Lazy. But welcome to the channel. Finally, the Church of Liam is in. Thanks, JT. How you doing? Welcome, James, Matty Lehman, Papa Paw, Sparks, Bulldog9, John, Zena, Eron, Tucker, Smeg for Brain, great name. Phil, hello everybody, how are we all doing? Ferret's Revenge, what a great name that is as well. I love, sometimes one of my favourite things is just reading YouTube names. I thought I almost just poured tea down my new white Siege t-shirt. Go for it, Paying. Hello, hey, how's it doing, man? How you doing? Sorry, I'm less dick sick. Brilliant. Right, you people are beautiful. So anyway, on topic, right, what we're going to talk about is some of the 10th edition rules have been showcased so far. So we have seen many Space Marine rules. We have seen some of the Tyranid rules. We've seen the Chaos Space Marine rules. We've seen the Necron rules. There might have been other bits and bobs from other factions as well, but we haven't really seen things like faction-specific rules from anybody else, really. Okay? And it's been interesting so far. Space Marines, we saw Oath of Moment, for example. Tyranids, we saw the Shadow in the Warp ability in Synapse. Chaos Space Marines, we saw the Dark Packs that they showcased, right? Which is all cool stuff, okay? It's really, really, really cool stuff so far. Then Necrons were showcased on Friday, not Thursday, on Friday. Tomorrow, supposedly, we're going to get Astra Militarum. It's another one I'm going to be very interested in, and something that we'll talk about shortly after as well. Easton, thank you for the gifted one. You're a hero. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at the Necron rules as they were on Friday. And we're going to read through them briefly. Once we've read through them, we're then going to talk about the topic of the video. The question that I have for you, beautiful people, are they or are they not more narrative? I've already got my opinion, but I want to know what you guys think as chat. So what we're going to do is we're going to share the screen right now, and we're going to look at faction-focused Necrons from Friday, 5th of May. Okay. So, the Necrons are an ancient civilization who ruled the galaxy millions of years before humans first walked Terra. In order to claim victory in an epic and apocryphal war, okay, there's a word apparently, against their ancient rivals, they used advanced technology to transfer the consciousness of their entire race into mechanical bodies. They then sealed themselves away, planning to awaken in the far future of a galaxy ripe for conquest. Now, as they awake from their slumber, the Necrons find that instead of rolling over and dying out as expected, many other races have emerged to lay claim to large chunks of their galaxy. And then Tyranids have even arrived from another galaxy entirely. So I love the fact they give us some of this narrative stuff to start with, right? Nordos, thank you so much for the gifted one. You're a hero. 2 members already on stream, look at that. Necrons have long been an army of implacable silent warriors, marching forwards in an unstoppable phalanx of flesh-dripping ghostfire. This is still true, but now many larger constructs, such as the Canoptic Doomstalker, Triarchstalker, Canoptic Spiders, and Ghost Ark, follow the trend of much increased toughness. Combined with the reduction in armor penetration, your army will feel like a truly indestructible force of living metal. Some of those things, Triarchstalkers, for example, Canoptic Doomstalkers, we don't see them loads at the moment. Okay, these are cool models that we don't see at the moment. Is the target sub 10k? It isn't. No, if I put it at 10k, I mean, we might as well leave it there right now. Let's have a look. Hang on. What have I set it as? Where is my... Oh, I can't see it. We'll have a look later. Faction rules. Okay, so some rules. Necron armies can field a wide variety of units from humble Canoptic Scarabs to shards of fallen star gods. In between these two extremes, they have reliable foot soldiers such as Immortals, tunneling ambushes like Ophidian Destroyers, and technologically bending cryptechs like the Psychomancers, Chronomancers, and Technomancers. So reanimation protocols, something that we've seen forever, right? So as it currently stands, reanimation protocols, when the attacking unit finishes making shooting attacks or melee attacks, you roll a number of 5-ups or a number of wounds that were lost, and if you make enough 5-ups to regain a model, you get that model back, okay? This is something that took me a couple of times to read, I'll be honest. And then when I got it, I was like, okay, this is cool. I get it now. Reanimation protocols are one of the things that these mechanical marauders all have in common. An army rule that grants Necron models the ability to recover from even lethal damage. Here it is, reanimation protocols. If your army faction is Necrons, at the end of your command phase, each unit from your army with this ability activates its reanimation protocols and reanimates D3 wounds. Each time such a unit reanimates a wound, if that unit contains one or more models with fewer than their starting number of wounds remaining, select one of those models. That model regains 1 lost room. If all models in that unit have their starting strength of wounds, but that unit is not at its starting strength, 1 destroyed model is returned to the unit with 1 wound remaining. Once such a unit is at its starting strength, all of its models have their starting number of wounds, nothing further happens. Okay, cool. In a nutshell, right, if you have, let's say, Scorpec Destroyers and they have 3 wounds each, and you have 1 with 3 wounds, 1 with 3 wounds, and 1 with 1 wound, and you roll a 3 or 4 on your dice, so you gain 2 wounds back, that one that has 1 wound goes back up to 4 wounds. If you have 1 as your dice result, he goes up to 2 wounds. If, however, you get 3 on that dice roll, and the starting strength of that unit was more than 3 models, he goes back up to 3 wounds, and then 1 more returns with 1 wound. Okay, and then the process continues. Does that make sense? So it's a way, it's better, it's easier, I suggest, to heal and see the benefit from reanimation protocols on multi-wound models, and that's why I actually really, really like it. Because typically, when you have multi-wound models in reanimation protocols and you're relying on 3 or more 5-ups to bring one of them back, quite often we won't see it, okay? This time, I feel like it's much, much neater. It's much, much neater, okay? Because it just means that you do a dice and you just get that, you basically get that number of wounds back for your unit. If that results in single models coming back, that's great. If that results in models healing, that's great. It also means reanimation protocols is going to do something for things like monoliths or ghost arcs potentially, which means we don't have to have reanimation protocols and living metal, right? It's the best. It's one rule that then does all of those things together, which is quite nice. Drew has put in chat, it's reverse mortal wounds. It's exactly that, and that's why I quite like it, right? This is really, really good. When I read it the first time like that, the 2 bullet points kind of confused me, and I slowed it down and read it again slowly. I was like, okay, actually now it makes sense. It's treating those 2 bullet points, you treat as if you do 1 wound, and you do those bullet points every time you add an additional wound. So if you just roll 3 wounds back, you check if anything's got no wounds, if anything's got less than its start number of wounds. If it has, you add it there. And if you have got all of those already sorted, you check if anything's missing from the unit, and if it has, you bring a model back with a wound, etc., etc., etc. Okay? I think it's great. This is really, really good, right? I like it a lot. This ability is an old friend to Necron players, but it's now simpler and more reliable than ever. There's nothing better for any self-respecting overlord than the look on an opponent's face when limbs reattach, smashed skulls rejoin sundered torsos, and the Necron stand back up, ready to fight again. Even the most durable Necron chassis pales in comparison to the indomitable will of their nobility. The Awakened Dynasty detachment rule is command protocol, so it's a detachment rule, which makes your units even more accurate when a leader is around to impose a deathless dominion and helps keep your units above half strengths to avoid battle shock tests. Command protocols. While a Necron character model is leading this unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Super simple, really cool, really easy. Not rerolls, I like it. This is on top of any other abilities your leaders give their bodyguards. You'll want to make sure that you've got plenty of characters hanging out with some metal minions to really make the most of this. Narratively, I quite like this. More characters, I think, is a cooler thing for Necrons. And so having multiple characters in your army, joining multiple units to lead the mindless lunatics, I feel like that's a better narrative use for Necrons. I quite like it, right? Unit spotlights. Did you think the Space Marines had hit the jackpot with the Land Raider, a tank and a transport? Well, anything Ark and Land can do, the Necrons can do better. Check out the new stats for the Monolith. A beautiful kit that was brought out relatively recently that just simply hasn't really seen play on the tabletop because of multiple reasons. Points cost, lack of durability, the fact that it was a Lord of War, etc. Here's the Monolith, okay? It has 4 Gorse Flax Arcs. It could be replaced for 4 Deathways. It's a Monolith. It is quick with blah, particle whip, port of exile. Okay, 7-inch move, toughness 14, a 2+ armor save, 20 wounds, leadership of 7+, and an objective control of 8. Okay, so you come with 4 Gulf's Flux arcs as standard lethal hits, so 6 is a hit, auto wound, rapid fire 3, so if you're within 12 inches, you're at 6 shots a gun, hitting on 3, strength 6 -1, 1 damage. I like that. Okay, the particle whip also comes fitted as standard blast, so 3d6 shots +1 for every additional 5 models, and devastating wounds, meaning 6s to wounds do the damage as mortals instead of normal damage, so 6s to wound will do 2 mortal wounds instead of 2 damage. Ballistic skill 3+, strength 8 -1, 2 damage. That's quite nice. And you come with a Portal of Exile, which is a melee weapon, 6 attacks in melee at weapon skill 2+, strength 8 -2, 3 damage. It's a raft of cool weapons that I really like. You can, of course, replace all your Gauss Flux arcs with Death Rays. Sustained hits D3, which means every time you roll a 6 to hit, you gain D3 additional hits, which is super cool considering you replace your 4 Gauss Flux arcs with 4 Death Rays. You could do 2 6s there and get 2 D3 extra attacks, right? Ballistic skill 3+, strength 12, AP -4, D6 +1 like the last cannon. I quite like that. I think that's pretty cool, right? It's got vehicle, Titanic, fly, towering, monolith. Towering being the thing that means you can't hide it behind terrain. Fly is so important for a monolith now. That's really, really cool. Deadly demise D6, which means on a 6 to blow up, it actually blows up, and deep strike is super cool. It gets reanimation protocol, so it's going to be healing D3 wounds a time, and then you've got the Eternity Gate. In the reinforcement step of your movement phase, you can select 1 Necron's infantry unit from your army that is either in reserves or on the battlefield. If you select the latter, remove that unit from the battlefield and place it into reserve. That unit is then set up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within 6 inches of this model and not within engagement range of any enemy models. That unit cannot declare a charge this turn. Super cool. If it does get wounded, if it takes 13+ wounds to itself and therefore is pretty damaged, while it has 1 to 7 wounds remaining, subtract 4 from its objective control, meaning you half its objective control characteristic, and each time this model makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Monoliths look super cool. I actually really dig them. I like it quite a lot. A spray of antimatter from the particle whip will remove whole handfuls of Space Marines from the table, and an assemblage of Gauss Flux arcs can chew through a truly worrying amount of infantry, or you can sort them out for the appropriately named Death Rays, which have the stats to kill pretty much anything. With an objective control value of 8, the Monolith is great for sticking on a vital objective in the middle of the board, where you can use its Eternity Gate to call your infantry units from strategic reserve or from right across the battlefield. The best candidates for teleporting around in such a way are the humble Necron warriors. They're little more than mindless automatons, but what these robotic regiments lack in initiative, they more than make up for in utter relentlessness. 5-inch move, toughness 4, 4+ save, 1 wound. This was interesting for me. A leadership of 7+. Interesting. Objective control 2. The reason why that's interesting is because a 7+ is a mathematical average on 2d6, right? So on 2d6, your average is 7. So they've got a 50-50-ish kind of chance to pass or fail, which is different to what we've known recently with leadership of 10. Now, I kind of assumed that this was because they would reanimate before they would take combat attrition, not combat attrition, whatever it's called now, battle shock. But it does say in the reanimation thing above, at the end of your command phase, each unit from the army has the ability. So I don't know how that's going to work. I'm pretty sure we'll still be scoring objectives at the end of the command phase. That'll be interesting, because if you fail your leadership, and then you go to objective control 0, and then you gain D3 models back, you're still objective control 0, and if you're the only thing on the objective, you then don't hold it, which is interesting. So they have Gauss Flayers, lethal hits, so 6s to hit, auto wound, rapid fire 1, 24-inch range, 1 attack, ballistic skill 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. No massive surprises there. And the Gauss Reaper has lethal hits as well. So all Gauss weaponry seems to have lethal hits. 6s to hit, auto wound. I like it. It's very narrative for Gauss weaponry. Very narrative. It's back to like 7th edition days as well, where you would auto wound things. Quite like it. 12-inch range, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 4+, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. So that's gone from -1 and -2 to 0 and -1. More of this toned down AP across the board. Big fan of it. They've learned from things like Armor of Condemned, right? Close combat weapon, melee 1, weapon skill 4+, strength 4, AP nothing, 1 damage. Cool, makes sense. Reanimation protocols, and then their number is Legion, which works with reanimation protocols. Each time this unit's reanimation protocol activate, it reanimates D6 wounds instead of D3 wounds, unless it's within range of an objective marker you control, in which case it reanimates D3 + 3 wounds. Here's the interesting thing as well. Depending on how this works, depending on timing, if you do if you do battle shock before you reanimate, That's going to be interesting because Battle Shock, right? If you pass your Battle Shock test, they have an objective control of 2 per model, which means say there's 10 models on the unit, you count as 20 objective control, you control the objective, right? That's cool. Let's say there's 5 models for sake of argument. 10 objective control, 2 per model, you've got 10 objective control, you control the objective. Then you do their number as Legion, and you do D3 plus 3, and you bring back 5, you go up to 10, your starting strength perhaps of 10, okay? If, however, you do Battle Shock before you reanimate, and you fail your Battle Shock test on a leadership of 7+, your objective control goes to 0. You no longer control that objective. And if you do not control, the word there, control the objective, you won't do D3 plus 3 models back, you'll do D6 instead. So the timing of this is going to be very interesting when these come out and when you do each step. The number as Legion makes the most of reanimation protocols. They'll just keep coming, forcing your opponent to wipe them out entirely or contend with them all game, and all that effort that's going into your Necron warriors isn't going into the rest of your army. I mean, that's something Necrons have had on their side for a long time, right? The Necron warriors can kill a lot of enemies with their Gauss Flayers and Reapers through sheer weight of firepower, but if you really need to obliterate something absolutely right now, might we recommend the Doomsday Cannon? I'm interested. Because this is something that kind of appeared quite a lot and then went away, and I love the model, although I'd never want to build one. Is it good? So it's blast and heavy. Blast meaning it's whatever its number of shots is, +1 for every 5 models in the unit. Heavy meaning if it remains stationary, it gets +1 to hit, which I quite like. Simple. Okay, 72-inch range, so it can touch everything. D6 +1 attacks. So if you're attacking unit with 5 models, it's D6 +2, 10 models, D6 +3, and so on and so forth. Right, super cool. Ballistic skill 3+, which means if this thing sits still, it's hitting on 2s. Strength 15, AP -4, flat 4 damage. Overwhelming obliteration in your movement phase. If this model remains stationary until the end of the turn, its Doomsday Cannon has the devastating wounds ability, which means if it stays still, it's hitting on 2s, a strength 15, AP -4, and if you roll a 6 to wound, it does flat 4 mortal wounds for each 6 to wound that you roll. Wow. That's quite nice, right? The impossibly advanced energy weapon delivers a mighty strength 15 blast that will tear through even the improved toughness of most vehicles, like so much paper. Plus, if your Doomsday arc stays stationary, the Doomsday Cannon gains a devastating wounds ability, allowing it to toss out mortal wounds that bypass invulnerable saves and spread its damage around. It really is Doomsday for anything you point this at. I think they've nailed this weapon's profile, personally. If you still need a little extra help with enemy vehicles, it's time to call on the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon. Please be good. He's been trashed for ages. He's the coolest looking Catan. Its particle-splitting spear makes the lightest work of tanks and other fighting vehicles with anti-vehicle 2+, and its sweep profile will melt infantry too. Anti-vehicle 2+ means it wounds vehicles on a 2+. Doesn't matter if it's toughness 10 or toughness 14, doesn't matter if it's a Monolith or a Rhino, it wounds vehicles on a 2+. So how much damage does it do? Okay, so strike, sweep. You pick your profile because it's got these little arrows. Anti-vehicle 2+. 5 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 12, AP -3, D6 +2 damage. You're wounding vehicles on 2s, you're hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s at D6 +2 damage. That's terrifying against vehicles. AP -3 will typically give most vehicles some kind of a save, but light armor, he's just going to absolutely obliterate, right? And his sweep profile, if he comes up against infantry, 10 attacks, weapon skill 3+, strength 8, -1, 2 damage. It's still incredible. It's still enough to wound Space Marines on 2s, and it's still enough to kill a Space Marine should one go through the armor, but only AP -1 means you've got a chance. What I find interesting here is the weapon skill against infantry goes down to a 3+, whereas the weapon skill against vehicles is a 2+. I kind of like this distinction. I'm a big fan of this, but they are different. That's cool. That's just what you'd expect when you release a Shard of a Star God on anyone foolish enough to stand in your way. Stratagem Spotlight. I'm really liking the way they're doing stratagems nowadays. I love the way they're laid out, and so far I've been quite a fan of most of them. As with the other forces in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000, the Necrons have 6 detachment-specific stratagems. The Protocol of the Hungry Void stratagem is your go-to for slicing your way through the galaxy's younger races. Protocol of the Hungry Void used to be one of their command protocols, which seems to be gone. They don't seem to have those extra rules anymore. I'm a fan, to be fair, that shit's gone. Right. Protocol of the Hungry Void, Awakened Dynasty, Battle Tactics Stratagem. When in the fight phase, target one Necron's unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Effect until the start of your phase, add 1 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in your unit. In addition, if a Necron's character is using your unit and leading your unit, until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons equipped by 1. So it's leading into this narrative that your Necrons need to really be led by characters, like it was talking to at about right at the start when you had the detachment rule, which gives you +1 to hit if you have a character in the unit, which I'm a fan of, to be honest with you. You pick your character, you get +1 to hit, you get +1 strength, you get +1 AP. Your army, you can see how your armies are really starting to get buffed up now by deploying cryptex and characters all over the place. Big fan, like it. This is perfect for dedicated close combat units such as Flayed Ones or Scorpec Destroyers, especially if they're led by a Scorpec Lord. It just goes to show that while Necrons might have emotionless faces, they are more than capable of getting angry. Word from the studio, and there's some quotation marks here because this comes from someone in the studio, obviously. And Robin, it says, which means it's their chief rules, right? We wanted to capture the feeling that you are facing a slow creeping, unending legion of deathless foes, explains Robin from the Warhammer studio. Their reanimation protocols will, given enough time, regenerate every unit to full strength. We also wanted to install the idea that the massed ranks are under the control of immortal leaders, by whose will and command the legions fight with such unnerving coordination and lethality. Command protocols and characters are therefore the main theme behind the Awakened Legions detachment. We're excited to see what players make of the new data sheets for Necrons. Their ancient and deadly technologies have been represented by a variety of special abilities. I love it. I think it's great. There's some Black Library nonsense right here. It talks about books, etc., blah, blah, blah. There'll be another faction focus on Monday. A look at the armoured might of the Astra Militarum. In the meantime, if you're looking to start Necron's army for new edition, blah, 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 blah. Next up, Astra Militarum, right? So we've seen Marines, Tyranids, Chaos Space Marines, Necrons. Considering these things that we've seen before, chat, considering these things that we have been shown already by the mighty James Workshop, there's a large part of me right now that feels like these rules are built in a more narrative way. I feel like I'm actually, I know a lot of people were concerned about losing flavour moving into 10th edition, and there's a little part of me that feels like I'm getting more narrative flavour from these rules. They are simplified. I'm going to be that horrible arsehole that says that they are simplified and not simple, which I'm a big fan of. And I still feel like there can be some tactical play to these. There can be a level of complexity that means that the way you do things could be important. On the whole, I just think this is great, and I'm super pro. I'm a big fan. I really, really, really like what I'm seeing so far from a narrative perspective. Okay, so is 10th edition looking more or less narrative? At the moment, I'm feeling like with the Shadow in the Warp ability from Tyranids, with the Necron's reanimation protocols, with the Chaos Dark packs, personally, I'm feeling like these rules are more narrative focused whilst also being simple to understand. I read someone in the chat earlier saying reanimation protocols has gone from a whole page to one paragraph. How much nicer is that? Massive fan. Plastic and Paint, thank you for the gifted membership. Sorry, I was on a roll reading the article. I'm super happy no one interrupted me with super chats, but you can do it if you want to. I'm just throwing it out there. You can. And then Tim Chaser came in with a big 10. Thank you so much. Adding 13 to our total, which I can do now, where I accidentally set it at 10,000, and none of you have gone for it. I'm joking, obviously. Let me modify it like that. That makes much more sense. It looks a lot neater. Thank you so much, you beautiful, beautiful heroes. Everyone was feral today, says Dave. What are you talking about? That stratagem might be interesting with some Lich Guard. Yeah, I think I'd love to be in a place where we had X number of stratagems in the rulebook, X number of stratagems in the codex, and actually every single one of them is a good pick. So I feel like at some points we've seen stratagems that's like, well, that's a guarantee. That's what I'm using transhuman every 10. I'm using transhuman every 10. And I feel like nowadays what we seem to be seeing from 10th is, I want to do that, but I also want to do that, but I also want to do that. Which one am I going to pick? And that's a healthier place for stratagems to be in, by far, right? CSM 5 out of 5, Necrons 4 out of 5, Nids 4 out of 5, Space Marines 2 out of 5, says Cole. Interesting. It's a low score for Space Marines. Why is that, mate? Joe can go LVO. He has sorted accommodation. Liam's not allowed. That's fine. I like how some of them emphasize decision-making in game and not just list building. Feels like that is a really good for skill expression. Tyrannid, I 100% agree with you. I feel like you're actually going to have to make choices in the game now rather than just this is what I do because this is what everyone else does. Let's hope that being a narrative army doesn't limit the strength of the army. I completely agree, Vittorio. 100% completely agree with you. I don't think it will, if I'm honest, but I do agree. I love the new reanimation, though it needs some more explanation as there is already discussion about how it works. In what way Necromancer Goblin? Like, I feel like how it works is easy enough for me. I feel like I understand it. What concerns, or I say concerns, maybe concerns is the wrong word. The thing I'm worried about is when it occurs. and how that interacts with other rules like battle shock and scoring objectives. So it says, for example, that you do reanimation protocols at the end of the command phase. If it also says that you score your points at the end of the command phase, well, when do you do it? Because if you're just off of an objective and you roll your reanimation protocols and you add D6 models to your warriors and you add 5 and you can put them in range of an objective and you've already passed your battle shock test, so you've definitely still got your objective control, do you then control the objective? You know what I mean? That's the one that concerns me. How many strategies can we use starting with bone? Some characters give more per turn, but only starting with one, but only that one, like one I've seen. Well, I'm also happy. That's the other thing I'm also quite happy about, actually, is that there's a potential limitation to CP, right? My brain wasn't braining when I read the new reanimation. Yeah, when I first read mine was exactly the same, Carl. And then I had to reread it. I was like, okay, it makes more sense now. Full rerolls against one target sounds like they can't do stuff without orders. I mean, I think Space Marines look impressive anyway. I think that the Oath of Moment ability makes it look like they really want to annihilate a unit a turn, and off they go and do the next one, and they're very efficient at doing that, which is kind of narrative for Space Marines. I hope they don't bounce hard if they haven't got that on. I think it'll be okay. Sadly, I think Battle Shock comes first. I think Battle Shock will come first, only because reanimation says at the end of the phase. Is it for 3 wound plus models and Battle Shock? It's for 3 wound plus models and Battle Shock. What do you mean, Radar Kai? What do you mean? It took me a second to understand it. It says end. Problem is Battle Shock happens first while you haven't replenished yet. So yeah, but think about it this way, right? So I get it. Think about it this way, Tank Top Games, right? If you reanimated D6 warriors before you Battle Shocked, you'd never take Battle Shock, would you, normally? Right? So I understand why they would make it after Battle Shock. Otherwise, you just keep reanimating and you keep gaining wounds back and you never take Battle Shock, which I get, right? But if you pass your Battle Shock, this will be the interesting thing. If you pass your Battle Shock and then you reanimate, you could reanimate onto an objective. If you then score after you've held the objective, after you've reanimated, then you would suddenly hold it. If you score and then reanimate it, it does it the way around, right? When do you roll Battle Shock? At some point in the command phase, Dave. Definitely not at the end of the command phase. At some point in the command phase, it seems. So, you know, it's more about reanimation versus objective scoring, I think, is the interesting thing. I think players should get narrative points, bonus points for playing to lore narrative of the army. I mean, I'd love that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I assume there will be ways to get out of phase reanimation protocols, probably like a Resolve or something, I guess, right? Do I need to bring the wooden spoon belt to GHD? No, it's not a tournament. You'll be fine. Anyway, some super chats. Dave B, thank you for the 2. I need 10th ed in my life, mate. Me too. Chat, I was honestly thinking, I was talking today a little bit in the Only Things. I've been talking to the team. I'm thinking about cancelling Tuesday games and replacing them with this, where we talk about the rules GW are releasing until 10th comes, because so many people don't care about 9th. I was actually thinking about doing it and doing a talking head on Tuesdays instead. We still have games on Thursdays, and we still have games on Thursdays because Joe comes over for the Liam and Joe show, so I might as well make use of him. But you let me know what you think. Fish Food 3, thank you for the 2. Thank you for the first ever super chat. No rerolls in this preview, which is good. There's another thing as well, right? One of the things, in my personal opinion, that was bad about some of the last edition is that it's... Oh, here's a rule. And here's the same rule in a different codex called something different. And here's the same rule in another codex, so everyone had an aura of reroll ones to hit, and everyone had an aura of reroll ones to win. And that's where, maybe when they keep talking about reducing rerolls, maybe this is where it's actually coming in, right? Maybe this is where it's happening. Maybe certain factions like Necrons will get the +1 to hit instead of the rerolls, which gives them a different mechanic that could be considered more or less efficient. But it gives them, well, I say it could. There'll be a mathematical result there, whether it is or isn't more efficient. But you see what I'm saying, right? Anyway, thank you so much for your first ever 2. You're a hero. What a legend. Cloud2466, welcome to Jarl. You legend for choosing to join us all by yourself, right? What if they don't roll for Battle Shock? But why would they have a leadership characteristic? Leadership is lower because they will have a character in most units to help with that role. Yeah, so I would assume, and this is an assumption, I would assume that Battle Shock is based off the highest leadership in the unit. So if you have a character with them, your leadership's higher, is what I would guess. I don't know if that's been actually confirmed anywhere. No one knows for sure. Imagine Battle Shock will be at the start of the command phase. I reckon it'll be early. I don't think it'll be at the end. It'll be before you score objectives, almost guaranteed. Well, it has to be before you score objectives. Battle Shock has to be. Otherwise, it's pointless. Because if it was done after you score objectives, you're like, I don't really fucking care then about losing models because I score first, then I go objective control 0. Don't care. I've already held it at that point. So Battle Shock's going to have to be before you score objectives. So if you go to 0, you then don't hold it, right? Lehman, thank you for the 5. I want to say thank you to Liam. Amazing dice. I have never rolled so many 5+ in Werewolf Days against Tau. Cannot wait to get the red dice. You're very welcome, man. New dice coming at some point in the near future. James Hobbs, thanks for the 5. Have stopped caring about knights so much that I'm not just running fun armies. I'm having meta withdrawal. What do we think? Can we skip Tuesday games for more talking heads, or do we continue to do games? Eh? They roll for the Battle Shock when under half strength, but their animation change if they are on an objective. They control it to be them, but yeah, exactly. There's weird interactions there, right? I like it though. I think it's cool. Here's how I think it's going to work. Okay, I'm going to tell you how I think it's going to work, and then we'll see in the future if I'm right or not. Okay, I think it's going to work like this. You do command phase stuff. You do Battle Shock. You then roll Reanimation. You then score objectives. That's my prediction in that order. Battle Shock, Reanimate, objectives. That is what I think you'll do. Right, that's where I reckon it will be. It'll be the lower because you roll 2 dice to beat the leadership. Yeah, so it'll be the better leadership characteristic then, exactly. So if your character comes in, so if your Necron warriors are 7+, and your character comes in at 5+, I reckon you'll use the 5+. Exactly that. Talking heads, but with Jay. If Jay's coming anyway, Jay, we might as well play the game. Turn your back on Knightly and the rest of us have, says Kelsia. Confirm Battle Shock states it checks highest leadership in the unit. Does it say highest leadership in the unit, Steve, or best leadership? It must be best, right? Surely. Games preferable. Okay, yeah. So you all want games. That's cool. Okay. Hobby hangout with you and Joe on YouTube. Well, again, if Joe's here, we might as well play a game, right? Although I think we have a lack of people this week because I think Brom's away again. Fucking Brom. Let's go Google Drive and let's go to the schedule and stream availability. Let's see where we're at for this next week. I bet he hasn't even scheduled. Tuesday the 9th, Thursday 11th. He hasn't scheduled. Ugh, this is a problem. Okay, he might be B team on Tuesday. He doesn't do his job at all. Lazy bastard. Lazy bastard. I think battleships should be start of the phase so you can use stratagems. So you can't use stratagems on a unit. I mean, I wouldn't. I assume you mean Battle Shock, not battleships, Darius, and I wouldn't necessarily think that that'd be far off being right. I don't. Kind of makes sense considering Battle Shock says you can't use strats. I guess it depends. But then if something like, Insane Bravery is a thing that allows you to automatically pass Battle Shock, you'd have to do Battle Shock after stratagems in the command phase. Primaries are confirmed still scoring when they do a night. So end of the phase. Okay. But, so this is the thing. So it says end of the command phase, you score primaries, but also says end of the command phase, you do reanimation protocols. So I'm going to assume I'm right and you do reanimation protocols first. I'm assuming. We need Joe Academy. Probably should be the first student. But do games that feature the latest army that was previewed, says John. That says but, which means there was a previous comment from you as well. Not that I can find it. I'm not used to actually chatting, John. How you doing, man? How you doing? Second edition games, a good old Vortex grenade. No, I'm not going to start fishing around old editions and try and learn a whole old edition to play in a single game. We're not doing that. Ask the Talking Heads on Tuesday if the next week's Tuesday should be a game or more Talking Heads. Less serious games like play a game, but that chat more important. Well, we do chat plays anyway. Can you look right, team? Okay, right. If you're gonna put comments on YouTube, can you start writing them in fucking English so I haven't got to decipher them first? It's super helpful if I can just read them and know what you're trying to say to me. rather than trying to guess or work it out. Stop being lazy. You're only using a phone anyway. Just type the message, read it before you hit send, and then hit send. Make my life easier. Won't you? Remember Super Saiyan Psychic test if you roll doubles, Armor Bane, Flesh Bane from 7th. I mean, that sounds cool. No, it was a but to your statement. Oh, okay, right. The problem is then the delay, John. Right? Have you built that Imperial Knight behind you? No, that's a full box. And what other knights have you got? What toughness do you think knights will be in 10th? I've started on a super big boy. The old Castellan or Valiant. Right, I've started on him at the moment. I've currently got him and 2 other big knights right now. Okay? So I don't know what they'll be like. If a Monolith's toughness 14, knights typically with the same toughness as a Monolith. So toughness 14 for knights kind of makes sense, or 15. And it will also be interesting. What will be really interesting, right, is things like if the Void Dragon has anti-vehicle 2+, will the knight count as a vehicle? Did the Monolith count as a vehicle? That'd be interesting. Hang on. Where's the Monolith rules? Warriors. Monoliths have vehicles. So Void Dragons actually wound Titanic, towering, flying Monoliths on a 2+. Interesting.
What a great light bulb with a Tuesday hype, steam locomotive for 10th. And more learning beforehand. I feel like those kids that were studying in front to be the teacher's pet, grimacing face. And more questionable facts from loose.
What a great light bulb with a Tuesday Hope train for 10th. Thank you all for putting foreign language in there now, right? Dave would like a baguette. Hungry Bert asks if I don't speak English. Maybe we should randomly use Vorta that are not English. Thanks, Cole, for sticking some journey there. This is a bit of stealing from Art of War. Could you do 9th edition games with codex rules, as in release Tyranids, Votan, etc.? We could. Here's another thing, but people like Art of War and Titans are already doing that stuff as well. Stomper's T14, Gorka Walker's T14. Yeah, I'd be T14, I reckon. But people like Art of War and Titans are already doing that, and I don't want to just steal their ideas. I don't know what to do. The problem is, I'm incredibly hyped about 10th edition. I'm loving the hobby and 40k more than ever. I'm really positive about it. And I really don't care about 9th. And every time I play it, I'm just like, whatever. And I think the team's the same as well. The team is the same. No, I get the light bulb's idea and the trainer's train age, and I got that part. I can read emojis. I've talked myself out of the 10th box set as I already have too many grey plastic marines. I'll be grafting the new Carastus, though. That Carastus looks incredible, right? Absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to get my hands on that thing. It's amazing. Das ist gut, ja. You didn't need the T on the end of das. It's just das ist gut, ja. Okay, come on. Fluent in German. I had the word East Coast from. I bet knights are now super heavy walkers instead of vehicles. But then surely the Monolith would be not a vehicle, right? Surely. Maybe, possibly. Build and paint streams. No, they're awful. And no one likes them. They don't do very well. And no one super chats. And no one gifts memberships. And you just watch the top of my head with a camera on them. And I have to set the next camera. I had a structure that I built, right, to have the camera for hobby streams. They were just rubbish. And then when I start concentrating and my fucking tongue comes out as I'm painting or building something, it's just not entertaining for you guys either. So, not doing that. Right, we're not doing that. I felt no temptation whatsoever when they revealed the launch box. Well, an inkling just because the book is limited to it. I mean, from a Marines perspective, and I've just started making Marines. From a Marines perspective, I wasn't that bothered. I quite like the Stern Guard. I quite like the Terminators and the Librarian. But I'm not bothered by it.
Nice meeting you in Fest. Painting Mitesons and listening. I am wondering how Battleshock would work for rubrics. Making a BS test doesn't seem fluffy for Automata. What would Beatson's army rule?
So, Christos, 1, absolutely lovely to meet you too. Thank you for the 10, you're a hero. 2, Battleshock. The reason why I like Battleshock so much is because you can narratively apply it to so many different things. So in terms of rubrics, applying a battle shock potentially could mean that they just sort of stand there and shut down, and that's why they don't have an objective control, and that's why they can't receive a stratagem. Maybe they disconnect from their Psyker briefly, okay? And so they disconnect from their Aspiring Sorcerer briefly. He's no longer in control of what they're doing. He's no longer giving them their guidance. They kind of just sort of stay there a little bit and they shut down. So in that regards, Battle Shock, rather than morale, for me personally, is more applicable to many more narrative-based scenarios. So I actually think that Battle Shock does still work for Thousand Suns personally. Also, I would like Death Guard to be the debuff army. The closer you get to them, the longer the battle goes, your army gets worse. Yeah, I like that. I would love them to do that. It's whether they can do that neatly as well, right? Tongue coming out, you say. Tie me up. Must have the new NIDs. Yeah, I wasn't bothered by the Space Marines. The new NIDs, though, oh my God. If we didn't have a Channel NID army, that would be exactly what I would be looking at doing. But Joe's already painted the Channel NIDs, so if we get our hands on it, if and when, they'll go to Joe and he'll add them to the NID army. But they're beautiful kits, right? And the Marines I'm building, not even Primaris. At this point, this is where John McCardle, if he's still watching, gets very excited and drops his yogurt everywhere. Because this is a Heresy Marine. Mark 6 Heresy Marine. Because I dug out a big old Age of Darkness box, and I just had an urge to put some Space Marines together. Don't know why. Do you ever get that, chat? Sometimes you think, oh, I fancy doing this thing for once. And I actually quite like them, and I'm going to go as far as to say I think I actually prefer them to Primaris. Just saying. I'm just saying. How's the bot build coming along, top lad? Well, as well as doing this Space Marine, which literally took me half an hour, I built the main frame for the big Chumbawamba. I showed you earlier, Dave. Main frame and legs. So I've got to build the arms. Once I've built the arms, I can fill all the gaps, sand it all down, and get ready for base coating with no armor plates on. Get all that done, and then I start armoring him up as well. I'm in a really happy hobby place right now, chat. I'm about as motivated as I've been in a long time. But thank you for the 2, Dave. Andrew Drew, thank you for the 5. I suggested to Eddie to do a comedy show, maybe that can fill the Tuesday void like a Ron Burgundy-esque news show. Where Eddie and I were coming up with a comedy show ages ago, which we're going to call the shit show, right? However, the problem with Eddie is he's full of ideas and he's got there's no result. There's no end result, right? Hungry Bert, thank you for the gifted 1. Put us on 15, you legend, which means I can change this to 5-3 of the 6 variety. Boop, boop, boop. 5-3 of the 6 variety. Do you know what, right? YouTube lies to me as well. YouTube tells me that Sunday is the busiest evening of the week for my audience, for my whole live audience. And it doesn't seem to be. Either that, you're all just so tired from the week that you don't want to get involved. Mold lines everywhere, yeah. Well, it's not mold, there's join lines everywhere that I need to fix, right? Thought Space Marines are boring. Space Marines are boring, but, Ben, GW sent me this a long time ago, and I put it away, right? Sent me this a long time ago. And as boring as Space Marines are, this cheeky chap is incredible. Right, he's one of my... I hate resin, for Christ's sake, but he's such a nice model, I couldn't not pick him up and try and work out a way of using him. So, big thanks to GW for sending him, but we're going to get there eventually. And we're going to build this guy. And so I need something to go with him. And I've always wanted to paint Sons of Horus, and I've never painted Sons of Horus. So I'm going to try. It's one of the few colour schemes I've never done before. So I'm actually going to try and paint Sons of Horus. And it could go horribly, and there could be half of an Age of Darkness box up for sale sometime soon. I'm going to give it a go, right? Cass, thank you for the 5. So you're 9th out like the rest of everyone until 10th edition drops, or in Brom's case, 11th edition if he's very lucky. Yeah, absolutely. I am 9th out. Well, I mean, if you guys want games, we'll keep putting games and we'll still have fun because we get to hang out and play 40k. But oh my God, I don't care now. Wonder how a Tuesday panel show would be, all the gang. Right, Dave, you know how big my studio isn't. It's not going to happen. People don't realise we're in a one-car garage, right? We need a bigger studio to do, like, I've got an idea for a podcast, for a 40k podcast, which is also video content for the channel. I've got tons of things I want to do. Tons and tons and tons of things I want to do. One of the biggest things that restricts me is the space. I don't have the space. And the second thing that restricts me is the only person who I can guarantee being around 99.9% of the time is Joe. The others are beholden to work and wives and girlfriends and other commitments, right? So I'm unfortunately very restricted. I was thinking of painting some Heresy Marines as Sternguard vets and use them in conjunction with the new Sternguard vets and have a mix. I mean, that sounds super cool, Christos. I like that. If you hate resin, I'll take them off your hands. No, I've busted out the Age of Darkness box, Lehman Russ, just so I can have an excuse to build him. So I'm afraid you're probably not going to get your hands on him, my friend. I want Primaris, Grey Hunters, and Long Fangs. They would be super cool. Horus Ascendant, nice. Yeah, I mean, I want the other one as well, but they're expensive, right? I'd like both of them eventually. Wolves are one of my faves. Narrative, says Stephen Rose. Wolves are amazing. Nice background stuff for finals cramming. Good luck on them, man. I hope you do well. Here's Horus. There's Horus. Everywhere's Horus. I see him. Yes, he's Horus. I want to learn to play Horus Heresy. I don't know if anyone cares about it for content, though, but there's a few people that are super into it. But why not do it remote? Video dial-in podcasts and shows, Adrian. I really hate them. I like them in person.
We had the discussion of Firstborn versus Primaris before. I know a couple of people have done an unofficial version of the Badab War using Heresy rules. Marines, Guard and the Tyrant's Legion. Custodes.
Sounds amazing. James Hobbs says, don't need production value, just you don't run a camera and a microphone. James, do you even fucking know me? I won't just put shit on this channel. It's not going to happen. I don't do crap production value. This is about as low production value as I'm happy to have, and it's a 4K stream for a professional camera with a professional microphone. The only thing that makes it non-professional is I'm sat in my house, in my office. It's not... You stop telling me this, oh, don't worry about it, just do whatever. No, that's not how it works for me. That's not how it works. I am trying to build a professional business and a professional channel with some swearing. Right? So is that where Super Secret Project comes in? Yes, Aaron. 100% it is. In time. I really want to play Horus Heresy. I care more about Horus Heresy, interestingly. Okay. Steady now. ECP was really good. Yeah, and it was, yes, but I would have rather done it in person. I think it would have been better. It was impossible with Chris and I, but I feel like it would have been better if it was in person. Genuinely. Firstborn and Primaris is doing the fusion from Dragon Ball in 10th. I wonder what % of Warhammer players play Horus Heresy. That would actually be interesting. Horus Heresy, whose days? I mean, is it 4K? Yes, it's 4K, you clown. Is it 4K? Honestly, 4K, 40K. All my streams are 4K. As he says, quickly checking the settings just to make sure that it is, in fact, in 4K. Yeah, it's in 4K. Shut up, Carl. Super secret swearing project. Yeah, right. I don't play 30k, I play Iron Warriors in 40k who think they are still in the 30k fight. That sounds fun. Iron Warriors was another one I thought about doing because I really wanted to learn to paint Hazard Stripes quite nicely, right? I appreciate you like quality, but your customers are always right. I mean, that's not true, is it? I only play Horus Heresy right now, but 10th could get me back. I think like that's going to be... Amroth, I think that'll be a lot of the same for a lot of people. Like, I legitimately think that a lot of people will come back to 10th edition 40k who used to play 40k. I also think it's going to be a massive addition for bringing new people in. I built the Spartan over the last few days. I want to play a whole 1k game with all my infantry inside, so deployment is a single drop. That sounds fucking awesome. Amazing. Why are we still calling this a super secret project? Everyone knows. Do they, though? Do they, though? What was the conclusion? More or less narrative. Smiler Maniac, I feel like they're feeling slightly more narrative than before, in my opinion. But I also feel like they're going to create some tactical decision-making that you have to do, either at the attaching character unit to phase or even during the game, which I quite like. Professio fucking all. I feel like chat really didn't give me their opinion, though. To be honest with you. So I'm not sure. Okay, peeps, back in a moment, need to shower after burning stuff. I mean, we're off in 10, by the way. And actually, to be fair, at the level of super chats and members, I feel like some days YouTube actually lied to me. It's probably not worth it, right? Probably not worth it in the future. Scorpio, not sure why you're worried about space for a podcast. Throw Eddie in Joe's lap and save space. It's amazing. That's quality. My Alpha Legion for the Hobby Park is only using Age of Darkness box. Love the models. I mean, it's actually a nicer... Do you know what? I hadn't built any before this, but it's actually a nicer model than I thought it was going to be. I'm not sure if I prefer this over Primaris or not. But it is definitely nicer than I thought it was going to be, if I'm honest with you. Paul, thank you for the 5. Didn't you have the idea to use previous rules like Road Trader through to 7th? I have a few 7th books if you want them. We had that idea. We talked about it a little bit amongst the lads, and we decided not to bother with it because we'd have to learn each edition and then the codex for each edition to play it on street. It's just not worth the effort. It just isn't worth it. I think it looks to be as cinematic as possible. I think that's a great way of putting it, Spider-Maniac, actually. I agree with you. Currently painting more Iron Warriors and then building a Sicarius tank. Got a spare Kratos if you want one. I'd love a Kratos. I was looking at one on the shelf today at Factorum because I was popped in there for a bit, just like... But they're not the cheapest thing in the world. Remember, we have said we will get at least one new model per faction when they get their new codex. Yeah, I'm excited for that, right? I'm excited for that. If rules feel narrative, points can balance everything else. Yeah, I mean, to a point, Jack, I think I agree with you, actually, to be fair. I'd like points to go fully digital. Do they put points on the data sheet for the Monolith? That'd be interesting. They didn't show its points, at least. I want points to go fully digital and not be on any of the cards. So the cards are always relevant, and then you download your latest points. I think if they go points fully digital, it gives them more freedom to just tweak them up and down, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. Horus Heresy models are better than First Bomb Marines. Now that I completely agree with. I like the way the rules are going. Does seem to be more narrative. Good. My fellow Thanes, what do you think of early concept t-shirt designers sent in chat? I can't see it right now because you're all here. 15 new members, people, and we've got 8 minutes left, and there's 256 people in chat. If 10 people gift 5, then I'll log off happy. I'm just saying. I want to see... Oh, hang on. She's going to read that out because it's 10. If... Okay, here's a challenge for you, chat, right? Here's a challenge for you. I'm not going to put a time frame on this, apart from it will be this year. If we hit 100 members in the next 8 minutes, I'll commit to fully painting 10 Heresy Space Marines. 10. In Sons of Horus colours. Maybe that's how we get memberships up in future. I commit to stupid goals that most people know I'm really bad for. I actually really like this model, by the way. So I'm looking forward to new Custodes. Too small a range currently. What I'd like to see Eron with Custodes updates, though, is I'd like to see them make plastic some of the Forge World kits. I think that'd be cool, right? Points are completely separately good. Should the writing be blue? What writing? Points will be fully digital. Oh, as far as I know. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm hoping they do. That sounds good, though, right? That sounds good. I think that's the right move. I enjoyed Arcs of Omen. Harbingers for AOS looks great. Hope their splitting rules from narrative makes it a lot more fluid, in my opinion. Mastodon going to go plastic. Oh, please. That'd be amazing. Carl gifted what? 1000 watt, Drew? 10k? 1000 watt? No, just 10. Jesus Christ. Do you know how far? Do you know how many models I painted in the last year? 5 guardsmen was it. That was it. 5 guardsmen. Depending on the new Crusade rules, is it a possibility? What, for the channel, Scorpio, do you mean? Christopher, thank you for the 1. You're a legend. James Hobbs dropping the 10. What a fucking hero. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. I massively appreciate you.
I want to see a benefit to somewhat lore-accurate armies in 10th. Like, give me an example of the Space Marines not deploying with tactical squads or solely running a world of eradicators in lore.
Yeah, I think... I don't know how they do that, though, but I think I kind of agree with you, right? Here's Horus, there's Horus. Thank you for the gifted 1. 28 in total. Wow, you're worse than me. I am. The problem is there's a number of things, right? First of all, we're incredibly busy here. There's a lot to do. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Not complaining. I love it. I adore it. But there's a lot to do, which means that I start a project and then I get busy with something else and then I hobby magpie somewhere. And so I need things to stop me from hobby magpieing. How that works, I don't know. But
I've never played 40k. From what I'm hearing about 10th ed, I may have to buy some models and give it a go. Looks easy enough for a dummy like me to figure it out.
Nerd Storyteller, thank you for the 10. You've been around for ages and you've never played 40k. That's interesting. How come you hang around then? Like, did you used to, like, if you've never played it, have you played other, like, have you played Heresy? Have you played Age of Sigmar? I'm interesting. A Mastodon who's been retooled and re-released with plastic sponsons, so don't see it going full plastic anytime soon. That's a shame. That'd be cool, though. Apparently, Crusade is going to be all rolled into one book. Okay, if they massively simplify, big if, chat, if they massively simplify Crusade, I will consider putting it on the channel as a campaign. If they massively simplify Crusade. Okay. What book should I read from Abby Dude first launching his 13th Crusade? I'm so far behind in books. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. As much as I love narrative, I couldn't tell what's going on right now, right? So, pass. Thank you to the people who gifted the chat, gifted members, by the way. I didn't actually think you guys would go for it, but some of you always do. You heroes. Joe could teach Nerd how to play 10th on stream. Well, I mean, as and when we get hold of the box, whenever that might be, we will be doing a bunch of streams where we'll be trying to teach you how to play the game, because we'll basically be learning at the same time, right? Ultimately, we'll be learning along with you people. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be quite interesting. So that's coming. How we do that, I don't know. I was thinking about making pre-recorded content for Learn to Play, but I actually feel like streaming it would be better, because I feel like streaming it we'd get more genuine questions, right? Magentian? How do I say that? Magentian? I don't know which one it is. Anyway, thank you so much for becoming a Haskell. Behind the scenes content. There's some photos going up tomorrow for Haskells. Keep your eye out on that one. I'm excited for that. I also have to add the 13 that you guys gave to the total, which is for 550 now. Look at you, amazing people. Although, it looks like I'm safe. I don't have to paint 10 Space Marines by the end of the year. I don't play, that's more of a lifetime thing. Yeah, I get it, right? I need a Mastodon for my Salamander army. Do you think Primaris Space Marines and then stops? Do I think Primaris Space Marines can go in Mastodons? I hope so, that'd be cool. I'm painting up 2 Tau Yavara for the narrative event. I swear if these go to Legends, I'm going to flip. There was a rumor that all Heresy stuff, like Imperial stuff, was not going to be supported in 10th, and I don't think that's true. I think that's true. I think there'd be fucking riots if that happened. I want to donate more, but can't do right now. Chris, that'd be stupid. Honestly, you're amazing. I got into it by watching if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device. That's amazing. That's quality. And that's what got you hooked on a hobby that you've never played. See, I love how diverse this hobby is for people that like it and enjoy it and why they like it and enjoy it. It's amazing. Right? I imagine the content creators will be getting their boxes early June, so the model and content are ready for a mid-June pre-order. I mean, that doesn't give you long to get the models ready though, right? If you get it early June for mid-June, that's like 2 weeks to get the whole box ready. There's a lot of models in that box. Especially NIDs, there's a lot of NIDs in there, right? Pyro Space Marines able to fit in Mastodons. Will. Yeah, I mean, I guess they will be able to. I think that typically the only ones we're going to see a bit more restricted are the smaller transports, and typically they're just not going to allow the bigger types of like modeling, right? Mika, thank you for upgrading to Yao. You're a hero. Love you. So I feel like a Mastodon, because of the size of it, will allow anything that you want to put in there. And it will just be the typical, right? A Primaris Marine, like it looks like nowadays, very, very simply, Primaris Marine or Space Marine counts as 1, a Terminator or Gravis counts as 2, and then does anyone ever use those other things that they did? Centurion counts as 3, right? So Rhinos and Impulsors probably can't take anything bigger than a thing that counts as 1, right? And then anything else will be fine. So I assume that you'll be able to take Primaris Marines in your Mastodon, which is quality. Right. Flash Kit's got me into Black Templars and how I found out at 40k. That sounds amazing. I've got 3k points of Heresy armies to paint, 160 Marines plus Dreads vehicles. I'm aiming for 2050 as a goal. I actually kind of want a Heresy army. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be something we use on content, right? But I do want to do it. I want to play a Heresy because I like the old 7th, and I was kind of holding off in the hope that I was kind of holding off with a thought that 10th edition might end up being very similar to Heresy, and then I wouldn't need to play Heresy. But actually, 10th edition isn't looking like 7th edition again. It's looking like 9th plus with extra bits and bobs. So I'm actually really happy with where 10th is, but I actually now think that 10th and Heresy will be completely different editions. And so, although the core of them still being kind of similar in the fact that they use a keyword system and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I've got an excuse maybe now that I think it's okay to do some Heresy stuff in the future. I also haven't said this anywhere, right? I'm trying to get you lot excited because I'm supposed to be turning off right now and the stream's not done well. But I'm also talking to Quipster. Remember I showed you this earlier, team? I'm also talking to Quipster about maybe trying to get him ready for Golden Demon next year. Now, I don't think I'm going to win any trophies. What I would like is a finalist pin. That's all I care about. So I'm thinking about trying to get this ready. I don't know, though. Okay, I don't know. Thank you, Chris, for the 2. Thank you for the heart. You're a hero. Thank you, Russ, for the 2. I need a 3rd Mastodon. We'll go and buy one, then. What do you want me to do about it, Anyman? Thanks for the 2, though, man. You're a hero. Cass, thank you for the 2. Hashtag Heresy content. You're amazing. I want Epic, too. Did they hint at Epic at Fest? Right, it sounds like 10th is clarified 9th. I think 10th is... I feel like it is going to be different enough to feel like an actual different, edition. 8th to 9th felt like 9th was a bit more clarified 8th. I feel like it does feel like a bigger edition, but I feel like they've just taken bits from all over the place and gone, that works, that works, that works, that works, that works, right? And let's put it together in this nice, neat, clean package. And currently, that's where I am with it, right? Joe likes Heresy, doesn't he? I mean, when I told him about what I was doing today, he got very excited, Ozzy. Very excited. He likes Heresy a lot. A lot. Anyway, right. It's an hour. Sunday shows are an hour, right? You people are beautiful. I need to go shower and get ready for a whole fresh new week. Ugh. More to do. So we're going to have a Liam and Joe DMZ stream, !gaming, if you want to hang out with us tomorrow on the gaming channel for some Call of Duty DMZ. We do that Monday afternoons. It's basically our time to chill out and just muck around. And now we do it on stream because I can't not work, right? That's what we do. Tuesday, we're back with a stream on Tuesday evening. Looks like you guys would rather have a game, although I need to find a 3rd person because Brom's not about. I think Paddy's still not about. Chris isn't about. Eddie came and we're still recovering from that. So we'll see what we can do on Tuesday. Wednesday will be another 40k show. Thursday will be another Liam and Joe show, another game of 40k. Friday will be another 40k After Dark. At the weekend, we're up at Element Games for the Great Hall Gathering. !GHG. If you want to get tickets to the Great Hall Gathering, come and hang out. There's still tickets available, £30, lunch and dinner included, as well as raffle tickets. Pub quiz on the Saturday night, hang out on the Sunday, play some games, just chill out, meet each other, enjoy each other's company, go home. That's it. Okay? So come and hang out with us. Right. Have a good one. Thanks for the entertainment. Love your streams. Thank you, Jonathan, for the kind words. You're amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, people. I think that's everything. There's no more chats to get through, no more gifted memberships. You people are amazing. Thank you so much for keeping me company on this fine Sunday evening, and we'll see you in the next one.